y'all, welcome back. It's Porch Talks with the Thundersisters. I'm Rena.
And I'm Rochelle.
And hey, we're back on the porch, so I guess we got something to talk about.
Always something to talk about.
Hey y'all, welcome back to this episode of Porch Talks. We're going to be talking about church hurt.
This is not a church bashing episode. It is a truth-telling episode.
So we're going to talk about some things that we have dealt with as Christians for many years with church hurt. And we are going to kind of tell some of our testimony in that. And we're going to go through points of view of how church hurt, what is church hurt? So we're going to go and we're going to talk about that.
And how it affects people and just the underlining and all of it, how it can take root and kind of spread like a bad seed.
Well, yeah, it can cause that bitterness. And so we're going to talk about that. And this is really unscripted. We're just going to go over some points, and then we're going to give you practical ways to heal from church hurt. And so stick around, because we've got a lot of good things to talk about on this episode of Porch Talks. Alright guys, welcome back. Here we are today, and I find it kind of interesting that here we are talking about church hurt, because God has been working on me all week about unforgiveness and having that root of unforgiveness in me towards certain things. So God has been working on me lately, all week really, about unforgiveness and having that root of unforgiveness that builds and
causes bitterness.
And so I want that root gone. So of course I have been trying to work that out and figure it out. And I wanted to do an episode today on like miracles and just healing things and testimonies that me and Rochelle have been through, that God has done in our life. And so, but Rochelle decided to do church hurt, and I don't know, I think it's kind of fitting. So
kind of calling me out, bro.
So here we are. Here we are going to discuss church hurt, because everybody on some level, whether you've stayed at the church you're at or whether you have left, everybody has experienced church hurt in one way or another. And I think it is very beneficial to assess the situation and learn how to grow from the situation, because God uses absolutely everything in our life to teach us, so that we are getting that draught. That's the word the Bible uses, but getting that, what would you say? Like, I want to say the word trash, but I don't feel like that's inappropriate. But that sin that produces the junk, right, out of us, so that we're healthier. We're healthier and we're healing.
I wanted to say muddy water.
Could be muddy water. We've got an awesome picture for that, that I should probably show. I think that'd be pretty cool. So anyway, we don't want to be impure, because those impure things lead us. Okay. So, just for example, if you're angry all the time, there's a reason why you're angry. There's a root there that is causing the anger that you've never dealt with. And so I think it's practical to talk about it and get it out and heal from it, versus keeping it in and letting it stew and just carry on over into your everyday life.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. Because if things are left, it's just kind of like childhood trauma. If you continue to live in that childhood trauma and you continue to grow up with that and never deal with that hurt and that trauma and never work through it, it leads your whole life.
It really does.
It leads into your relationships. It leads into your children's relationships. You carry it with you, and in turn, it passes on to your children. And so then they deal with it. They may not have had the physical trauma that you had, but because you never dealt with the root of that trauma, you in turn internalized it and then vomit it out onto your children.
Yep. So I watched a podcast today, and I think this is so relevant. It's just like the verse in Corinthians. It's 2 Corinthians 10:4 that says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but have divine power to destroy strongholds." Well, what are strongholds? And I heard this today, and I think it is so, so important. Our belief system is built, right? In us, in who we are, wrapped in our identity. Our belief system is at the core, right? And our beliefs, like our personal belief system of things that have happened with us. I'm not talking about Christianity. Of course, that colors it, but it's not like the core of it, right? So our belief systems comes from our mannerisms, our habits, right? Are formed around the thing that we have allowed to build itself up in our mind, our belief system. And then our brain highlights those belief systems and then justifies it. And the justification of it is the stronghold. So like practically for an example, let's just say you have wrapped your identity in being inadequate, right? You always feel like you're inadequate in everything that you do. So practically, you'll give yourself reasons and excuses as to why you're inadequate. And so you'll never step out in faith for the Lord because you're too inadequate to do so. It doesn't matter how much learning you've had. It doesn't matter how much you've studied on this certain subject. It doesn't matter how much training you've had. You'll never step out in faith because of that feeling or that spirit or that stronghold you've built up about your inadequacies. And you'll never believe the identity that you have in Jesus Christ because of that feeling of inadequacy. And that is a stronghold, my friends. At the end of this, we want to make sure that we give you the practical things that you need to be able to heal from the church hurt. Ultimately, so that you can step into the identity that Jesus has for you. He doesn't want these strongholds, these belief systems that have been created through trauma, to rule and reign over your life. Because ultimately, you're giving that thing power. And whether you know it or not, that thing is wrapped in idolatry. And that thing is Lord over your life and not Jesus Christ. So, let's break some strongholds, guys. Let's do that, right?
Let's break down some walls.
That's right. All right. Okay, so these are some of the points that we are going to go over in this video. We are going to define church hurt, why people leave church, bring the hurt into light, separate God's character from the human failure, and forgiveness is a process, not a shortcut. So those are some of the things that we are going to go over in this video. All right. I don't know, what do we want to define church hurt. So Rochelle?
Many people didn't leave God. They left a wound that never healed.
So true.
What church hurt is spiritual and emotional and relational harm
experienced within a church setting. So that is what church hurt is. And common forms of church hurt is abuse of authority, shame-based teaching, betrayal of trust, being silenced, ignored, or dismissed, hypocrisy, or moral failure. And the key points is intent doesn't cancel impact.
Intent behind why said thing happened doesn't cancel the impact that it made you feel like.
That is a good way to explain that. Let's see. We have been in several churches, and just to be honest, and
yes, we have joked around since we were children, because our mother was the same way, that we were church gypsies.
Yes, which is not the best thing to say.
No, and because we have went to so many churches.
Yeah, and then we've led with that as a joke when we came to churches first. So we need to stop doing that, because I feel like that's speaking death over our situation. But
well, I mean, sometimes it does take a little bit before you find the right church. It does.
I do think in that we have gained a lot of knowledge about how different churches work and function. And I think there's a good side to that. And I also think there is a bad side to that. Because I think you get kind of jaded in the institution of church. And when you read Acts, you're like, man, we're missing it. We're missing the practical way to do church. Which is really to get out into the community and love one another and preach the gospel and break bread with fellow believers. When you read the first century church, church was for believers. Go read it. You gathered as believers to worship the Lord, to talk about scripture, and then unify over that scripture and just love one another and help one another and meet the needs of the congregation and the people. And we've lost that. We've lost that in our churches. Our churches are geared towards unbelievers, how to get unbelievers in here, how do we do this program or that program that's going to bring unbelievers in. Sunday is geared towards preaching to unbelievers instead of believers.
Most churches have become institutionalized.
Yes, very much so.
It's all about bringing everyone indoors instead of in the community.
Yes, and you need to be in the community. You need to be in the community preaching the word to the unchurched, to the lost people. So then you need to be bringing them indoors, right? Into the building, into the place where they're going to feel loved and wanted and seek growth and seek Jesus and have that close-knit family. Yes. So that you can break bread together on a regular basis, not once a month, not during a holiday or a special event or occasion.
I really feel like that is something that is missing in most of our modern churches, is that people don't fellowship by breaking bread with one another. And when you're doing that, you're just living life together in those moments. Mm-hmm. You're talking about your life, how your kids are, how their grandkids are.
You know them. Yeah. You get to know who they are and the needs they need met.
Mm-hmm. You're more apt to talk about those things while you're eating. Mm-hmm. You feel more comfortable. You really get that sense of discipleship.
Yeah, and community.
Yeah. Community discipleship where they're able to talk to you and you're able, just kind of breaks down those walls. Mm-hmm. Where normally you wouldn't, you stay to yourself. Mm-hmm. You just do. Mm-hmm. And when you let your guard down a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's something that's really missing. I mean, Some churches do.
We've been to a church that every Wednesday for Bible study, they've ate together.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, man, that is a wonderful thing. Even after church, they ate together and they fellowshipped until next session even. Like morning service and evening service, the whole in between was nothing but fellowship. We've been to churches like that. And some people say, well, that's a long time to be at church. And I say, man, that's a long time to talk about Jesus. Yeah. You're with your people.
You don't have to stay. That's one thing, is you don't have to stay for the fellowship.
But why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. And when we were younger, we were at a church that they broke bread every other Sunday. It was every other Sunday afterwards. The ladies we'd have a potluck. We would all get together, the kids, everyone. We would, after the church service, a potluck was held. The people who could bring something brought it, and who couldn't. And it was no big deal. You just made it stretch.
Yeah.
Normally there was enough food for an army, but I'm just saying it did shape kind of how we seen when you go from a church that's like that in closeness, because like I said, we were younger, and then you go to a church and then things happen, and the pastor ended up leaving that church, and that's essentially why we stopped going to the church.
Which kind of colored things, and then of course you have church splits and things happen because emotions get involved, and your church don't talk about it, and so that's a one thing that really happens during that situation. But we'll come back to that. Go ahead and finish your thought.
I was just saying that's just kind of from going to that to going to just every Sunday. You just go to church and then you go home, or you just do Bible study and you go home, and you don't break bread together, and you don't fellowship together to bring down those strong,
the walls,
the strongholds.
Yeah, so like in a
the walls.
In a practical sense, what I'm hearing is that, so say you're a member that goes to church, your church doesn't ever have dinner, they don't ever really have fellowships, you know what I mean? They're not getting together, they're not in community really with one another. And so when that member leaves, do you feel like the need to reach out to them? Most generally, I'm going to say no, because you don't know them.
Yeah.
Practically, you just don't know them. You may, some people may reach out to them or whatever, but they don't know you, and you don't know them. But somebody that you're going to church with every Sunday, and you're breaking bread with, and you're getting to know them, and you know their lives, you know their children, you have a longing. Your spirit has a longing for their spirit. You get to know them and love them, and you're invested into their lives. And so, of course you're going to reach out to them and be like, hey, what's going on? We miss you. We love you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you start living lives together. Which is how you're supposed to do it.
And you're concerned for them.
You're supposed to live your life together.
Yeah, what's going on with you? Can I pray for you? Can I help you? Is there a need that needs met? You know what I mean? And you feel comfortable asking them and loving on them and giving them things.
And not only that, after, for example, we had a Bible study, and we used to go to all the time. And we would break bread every time we went to this Bible study. Every single time we talked and told our life and how we felt, and
where we needed prayer.
Yeah, what was happening in the moment, where we were at. And I will tell you, I feel so comfortable reaching out to the person that led that Bible study, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Well, she feels like family, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, if something's wrong, we would help her. If something, you know, we want to know what's happening, and we want to know what's happening in her life, and she still reaches out to us and asks us things. You know, we still see her from time to time, even though we don't do Bible study no more, just because it got too hectic. Life happened, right?
Yeah, and we just kind of quit.
Everyone kind of
yeah,
quit.
not just us. Yeah.
Well, you know, there was a schedule issue and all of that. So,
Yeah.
But I would still go to her for my problems, and I know she would still talk to me about her stuff. So that's part of living life together. It's knowing that they're there. I mean, even though,
and trusting that they're there. Yeah.
even though months and months has went by where we haven't talked, you know, and then bam, I see her, and here we're back. We're talking about everything.
I think also,
You know?
like, for one thing, I feel like God brings those bonds and those people into your life for sure. And to do life with, you know, those close-knit relationships. But also just practically just wanting and learning to love people well, the way that Jesus loved people well. Because we're all learning and growing in our faith, and we're all taking in things, we're all getting out things,
And
to be able to walk this walk of faith.
And we're not saying we're perfect, because Lord knows we are not. I mean, we've had a lot of run-ins and a lot of things that we know we shouldn't have done.
But that's where taking it in and learning and growing from your mistakes. Like, as believers, we are all not perfect. And we should be learning from our mistakes practically, and God should be teaching us, hey, you know, just for example, like I said, I've been, you know, a seasoned Christian for a long time, and God is back. We're back in the forgiveness. There's something that has taken root in my life that has caused a lot of bitterness, and I'm back here again in bitterness and hurt and forgiveness, and I've got to figure out
The root
and how to get that out of my life. But I want to do that, and that's the difference. Like, I want to do that to be able to grow in the Lord, to be able to release that so that I can grow, so that I'm not hindered by that, so that I can do a better job at loving people well. And so hopefully to live by example and teach people, like, hey, like, you can do this. God can break this unforgiveness in you, this stronghold in you that's holding you back.
And sometimes it is hard to admit. It is hard to admit it to yourself. It is hard to even admit it to God that this is what it is, because you're still over here justifying it in your mind, like, this is why.
Yeah. Well,
This is why I'm doing this. This is what caused me to do this. You're still over here hanging on and to that justification,
because your brain is highlighting it and giving you the excuse to hold on to the stronghold.
Yes, and even bringing it up sometimes makes you just
feel better. And honestly, you're going to bring it up to the person that you're closest with to hope that they will justify it. Because if they justify it, then you can hold on to that anger and that bitterness for just a little longer.
Yeah.
You know?
The moment that you actually release and kind of start talking about it, a beautiful thing can happen, because you're going to start to deal with it. Even if you're just talking to your best friend, as long as it's somebody that's led by God, they're going to help you and lead you through it.
Yeah.
I would say worldly people are harder because they don't really give you the godly answers. They will justify your bitterness. They will strengthen your convictions in what you're feeling.
Worldly people give you worldly solutions.
Yeah.
If they are truly godly people, because there are worldly Christians, if they are truly godly people, those are the people you want to seek out, because those people are going to give you practical, biblical solutions. And guess what? The worldly version you're going to want to seek. Your flesh is going to want to seek.
Yeah, because you want justification.
And you want easy.
Yeah.
This is an instantaneous world. We pop things in the microwave, 2 seconds, it's done.
You want agreeance.
You want agreeance, but you also want easy.
Mm-hmm.
The Christian friend that gives you the practical advice, that's not going to be easy work.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be on your knees with the Lord, asking him to show you where this hurt came from.
Self-reflection.
It's going to require a lot of self-reflection. It's going to require a lot of reading in the Bible and him teaching you through it, how to get rid of just the bitterness and the hurt and the ugliness and defining that root. You know, I talk about patterns a lot because just in my life and through prayer, and God has really highlighted patterns in our behaviors to us. And so just for instance, when things get hard, it was a pattern of mine to leave.
To pull out.
I'm gone. And I will build that stronghold with brick and mortar. I mean, like, you ain't breaking that thing down. I have sealed it. I have Fort Knoxed it. You ain't breaking it.
It's the tallest tower.
Yeah. But in that, God has shown me how me justifying that hurt has only damaged me and hurt me more. And so I've had to practically deal with a lot of things in my life that caused me to run away. And I'm still doing that. You know, still it's a learning process, step by step, day by day. And it isn't easy because, like I said, you know, your walk with God sometimes isn't very easy.
Well, it's not easy to lay down your pride.
It's not. And lay down your trauma, because like, you've married this thing.
Yeah.
You know, this is your whole life. You've
this is your
built
hill
your
and you're gonna die on
That's
it.
right. You've built your identity around it. And we all do. We build our identity around our trauma. And at some point though, you've got to decide, do I want to heal? Do I want to grow? You know, do I want to be who God created me to be? I mean, we build patterns because that is how we function. That's how we function. But do we want to grow? Do we want to step out in faith and be able to claim our identity in who Jesus says that we are, which are children of God? And, you know, are we going to keep allowing these pains and hurts to hinder us? You know, and ultimately cut us off from a church body.
Well, it comes down to where you want to be at. I mean, do you want to be walking and growing, or do you want to stay where you're at in your mess?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be walking and growing, you're going to self-reflect and start to really look at the patterns in your life and try to heal from that trauma. But if you're not, you're going to want to stay in that mess. And you're going to want to get fed by people that will tell you what you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know I've done it, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it. I'm not calling anyone, you know, I'll call a spade a spade. I'm one. Mm-hmm. I was a spade. I've been a spade.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
So,
you know, going back to the church split thing. So like when you are involved with, maybe not like innerly involved, but when you go through a church split and where your pastor leaves or where leadership dissolves and things have to be restructured and reworked, like any type of church split, that leaves a lot of unresolved feelings for everybody. And I mean everybody in the church, down to the children, are affected by a church split.
Yeah, the whole congregation is affected.
Yes.
And they carry it.
Yes.
They carry it with them.
And one reason why that is because in what we found in our situation, it's because communication is lost. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah, there's a serious breakdown in communication.
Yes. And it becomes almost like this dirty word.
Yeah, like the gossip train.
Yeah, like you can't talk about it or it's going to be gossip. Well, if you don't talk about it, then people can't understand. And if people can't understand, then they're going to leave.
Or they blame themselves.
Yeah, they blame themselves.
Or
they blame one side or the other, you know?
Or it's, wasn't I good enough to stay? You know, you brought me, I'm here, I was here into this fold, wasn't I good enough? You know, why would you just leave me? Why would you leave the flock, right? You were my shepherd, you know? And then it becomes hurt. It becomes, you internalize that.
And then on the other side of that, so say it's the pastor leaving, right? The pastor, something has happened with the pastor and the board, and that situation happens, and then the pastor leaves, okay? You have half of the congregation, you know, or a fourth of the congregation normally will leave with the pastor. Because they, like, it's probably some of the people that know what's going on, or maybe not. So, like,
they build up resentment.
So I think, like, the people that know what's going on, they're going to leave when the pastor leaves. Okay? Because they're going to support him. And then I think the trickle effect happens where the people that really like that pastor will eventually leave, even though they really don't know what's going on and they don't understand what's going on. They're going to leave. Okay? And then you're going to have the people that stay. Now, the people that left with the pastor and knew some of the ins and outs of what was going on, they're mad and they're hurt and they're spreading whatever they're spreading, maybe, right?
If they are spreading.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, they're talking to other people.
But even if they're not, they're carrying the hurt with them.
Yeah, they're carrying the hurt and resentment towards the leadership of what happened. But anyways, but you also, as the person who stayed, are hurt that they left. You're like, why did you leave? I loved you. Like, why? I feel abandoned by my friends that I was here at church every day with. Like, I don't understand what's happening. I feel abandoned by my pastor. I feel abandoned by my friends. I don't know what's going on. Nobody will tell me anything. Like, why did this even happen? This came out of nowhere. And then it's just closed from the people that stay.
Yeah, which is what kind of happened when we were younger as well.
Yeah, and then you're left wondering, should I stay? Should I go? You're working out things in your mind of your feelings and your hurt and trying to deal with it. You know, it's like, practically, what do I do with this? These feelings, like, who do I talk to? You know, and so, like, you'll talk to the your friends, and because it's mostly the people that are doers that stay, and or that leave with the pastor. So it's like the inner congregation.
Yeah.
And so anyways, and then you're talking with them and you're trying to work through your pain and your hurt.
You're just trying to figure everything out.
You're trying to figure it out. Is it God that's doing this? Is it Satan that's doing this? You know, you don't know.
Yeah, and you're trying not to make a judgment either way.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. But yet you're left feeling inadequate.
Yeah. And then the thing happens that if you stayed, now you've got to figure out who's going to be your pastor and the qualifications you want in your next pastor. And then you've got to deal with the process of finding a new pastor, which is very long. Mm-hmm. And then you've got to deal with who is actually leading this congregation now that the pastor has left. And that was a hard process. And then, you got the people that left that are having to deal with, okay, what do we do next? That was our church home. Now we've got to find a new church. And that brings a lot of hurt and resentment. And it's just a bad thing. And you never get to deal with it because there's a breakdown of communication.
And a whole lot of red tape.
Yes, and a whole lot of red tape. And so there's a lot of resentments and feelings that can grow from that. And I don't know, we just want to acknowledge it and talk about it. Because if you don't, then that's going to carry on into your next church.
So, our next subject is why people leave church. I feel like we kind of covered some of that. But this says, unresolved pain, hurt that is minimized or spiritualized away. Just pray about it culture. And I know y'all have heard about that. All right? You're feeling some kind of way? Well, just pray about it.
Yeah.
Just pray about it. It'll go away.
Don't address it. Sweep it under the rug and just pray about it.
Mm-hmm. And I encourage anyone and everyone to pray about it for sure, because God is the ultimate authority in everything. But that does not make it go away. And some people are just not mature enough to sweep it under that rug, or to really let God's counsel sink in 100%. Some people are just not mature enough for that.
But also though, it's like, just pray about it, absolutely. But how is just praying about a situation
going to
revive the communication? I'm not saying like God can't restore communication, but at some point you've got to be in action, right? Some point an action has to take place.
Yeah, you've got to actively try to talk to that person or communicate with that person in that breakdown.
That is so true. What practical advice. Just, as you're saying it, I'm like, yes, God, I hear you. So what we're trying to say is communication needs to happen. There needs to be an action too. You can absolutely pray about it first. Ask God to give you discernment. Ask God to give you the words to speak in a matter. And if you can't directly speak to the situation, then maybe ask Him to help you to speak to somebody else. But there needs to be an action further than just pray about it. You know what I mean? Practically, yes, pray about it, but also an action has to follow the prayer most generally, unless God has told you otherwise. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's other examples of just pray about it culture. Well, you're feeling hurt about one thing and something someone said to you that was snarky, right? And then you go and you talk to someone about it and they're like, just pray about it. They were probably just having an off day. Just pray about it.
And you're like, sure. But then the next time it happens again, and then where are you left?
Yeah, it festers.
It festers,
and then you become hurt towards that person. Mm-hmm. And then resentments build up, and you don't want to talk to that person anymore. You don't want to be exposed to that person anymore. And so
then how do you navigate it? And then eventually you'll want to leave church. That is the natural progression of things. Mm-hmm. Because you're left with, well, I've done X, Y, Z. I don't know what else to do.
And then you kind of, the just pray about it person, the person that just says that, then you're kind of like, what the heck, bro? And And so then you start getting hard feelings towards them.
Yeah, what the heck, bro? Thought you had my back.
Yeah, why are you not, I don't get what you're saying to me right now. So I'm just saying you can build up resentments everywhere.
It's very easy if you do not communicate about the issue, and then having to feel like she said, having to feel, well, how, because oftentimes if you're the communicator and the person receives it in a way that you don't feel like they heard you, or you don't feel like they understood what you were trying to say, which, this happens to me a lot because I'm an over explainer, and I want people to understand where I'm coming from and my position. So I will explain something to death so that they won't misunderstand what I'm saying. And at the end, they still misunderstand what I'm saying because of the way they chose to view it. So sometimes you just get to that place of impasse.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then when you're at that place of impasse, you've got to figure out where to come from to heal that.
An anchor thought is people don't leave because of one moment. They leave after being unheard for too long. And this is how church hurt affects faith. Spiritual confusion, loss of trust, isolation, bitterness or cynicism, and deconstruction. Sometimes necessary, sometimes painful.
So the first point of that, how church hurt affects our faith, right? Spiritual confusion. So once the hurt has happened, right? If we do not deal with that hurt right away, if we don't address it physically, emotionally, spiritually, right? Then if that thing takes root, it builds a stronghold, which is also
an open door.
So, then you've got the demonic aspect of this, that once you have opened a door,
you've given a foothold to demonic things to happen in your life.
That's right.
That's basically how it is. That you've given a foothold to them to kind of do what they will, right? Guide you in ways that you wouldn't normally act.
Well, and once you decide to leave, so if you do leave, but even if you stay and you feel like because of the hurt, like you can't be in the inner group, or you're just not doing as many things inside the church, right? You kind of isolate yourself. That seems to always be the case. And I've done it many times. Mm-hmm. And so you isolate yourself. Well, once isolation happens, you're outside the camp at that point. And so once you're out here, that's where the enemy chooses.
Prowling around you like a roaring lion.
That's right. That's where the enemy chooses to try to pick you off. Okay? So if you're in this isolation stage right now, get out of it. Get a hold of it. It's time to leave it. Because isolation is not beneficial for anybody.
Well, I mean, that's where one decision leads to another decision, leads to another decision, that are all in a collision course of bad, of sin.
Well, because Satan is an opportunist.
Yes. So just one drink won't hurt me. And then pretty soon you're drinking all the time. Mm-hmm. Or, just one cigarette won't hurt me. Mm-hmm. And then guess what? You're hooked.
Or you're cussing, right? One cuss word, and then two, and then you're vomiting them.
Yeah. It just takes hold of you. It takes root in your life. And
that sin compounds. And that sin separates us from the Lord, because then we get shame and condemnation and all the things on us.
Yeah, because then you're like, well, now I can't go to the Lord. I'm too dirty.
Yeah.
And I knew I was too dirty. I knew it before I did it. So I'm too dirty to go back.
It's almost like you psychologically do the thing, like you don't realize you're doing them for this reason, but it's almost like psychologically you do them on purpose so that it can create that chasm, because you do feel so bad about that first initial thing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like a self-sabotage.
Yes, for sure. Self-sabotage. And like, you know, because of trauma, because of hurt, you don't realize that that's what you're doing.
But we do want to reassure you that you're never too dirty for God.
Yeah. Well, and if you're listening to this and you do feel shame and condemnation and you are isolated, we're here to tell you Jesus is waiting.
Yeah.
He wants you to hit your knees and pray to him. He wants to be reconciled back to you. He wants you to come to him.
And I'm not going to say, what I want to say is he almost expects it, right? He knows we're going to fall flat on our face, right? He knows the ins and out of humans and what we're doing. So he knows that, and now he's expecting for you to turn away from the sin and come back at this point in time. Like, okay, when's your wall? When are you going to say is enough and come back to me, child?
Yep.
So
yeah, and you know, going back to, you know, Satan using this because he's an opportunist, you know, you got to get out, because he leads you to depression. And once that depression door opens, you know, all the things start happening. Or maybe they were happening before and it just led to depression. But, you know, you've got, you know, anger, anxiety, panic attacks, all the things that can come in because of the open door that was created.
Yeah, because then you can go into psychosis and all of the bad things. That split personalities, you know, all the bad things that take root if you stay in that process.
That's right. Yep. And so, you know, I mean, we want to get out of the isolation. We want to get out of that and break those strongholds, because Satan's just going to further compound the confusion. So, and who gives us confusion? Satan, you know? And we can fall into a lot of bad things and a lot of bad teaching while we're stuck in that state.
That's 100% true.
And if you can't get out of it yourself, find a Christian who
can pull you up.
Be like, sister, brother, I need you to pray for me. Pray some things out of me.
Sometimes we need someone to lean on.
For sure. And then the next one.
Loss of trust.
Yeah. So, how church hurt affects faith, we lose trust. And of course, that is what happens, because then if you take that hurt into your next congregation, you don't trust as easily. And
you have walls up.
You have walls up. Yep.
Well, and it's not only that, you don't trust not only the church, but you don't trust people as easily either.
Or God.
You don't trust, you start questioning.
You could.
Questioning.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean,
isolation,
which we talked about.
Bitterness or cynicism. Yep,
which we talked about that, getting that root of bitterness. And deconstruction, which means...
it says sometimes necessary, sometimes painful.
Well, deconstructing is basically you're coming up out of that thing. So like nowadays it's used in a negative light, but it's not necessarily negative, because nowadays you hear a lot of atheists talking about how they deconstructed from Christianity. So it really just means that you're taking your belief system and you are shining a light on it so that you can figure out, what's truth from error.
Mm-hmm.
And then getting that falseness out of you, right? Okay, so now we're on to this says important clarification. Deconstruction isn't destruction. It can be discernment.
Healing without hardening.
Healing without hardening. And that's important because you don't want to harden your heart. You want a soft, pliable heart that God can work with. Hardening your heart gets you further away from God, and that's not where you want to be. You want to be closer to Him and working through the pain and the hurt and the trauma with Him.
Childlike faith.
Yep.
Childlike faith, that they don't have a hard heart. They have a very open heart. They're open to a lot of things because of it.
I mean, and God wants you healed. He doesn't want you hurting. He doesn't want His child hurting. And that's why He sends people in your hurt and pain to speak to you, to send you a Bible verse, or that's why something comes up on Facebook that's directly, like a verse comes up on Facebook. This has happened to me numerous times. And I'm like, man, I needed that today. I was going through that exact thing, or like I'm just scrolling and I happen to stop on this one video and they are just speaking directly to me. And
or you jump in the car and that song that you just needed to hear will just play right then with all the things that you needed to hear.
Yep. And so God wants us healed. He doesn't want us broken. He doesn't want us hurting. He loves us and He cares about us. But the devil will try to convince you otherwise. And so we want to say right now that Jesus loves you and He wants you to come back. He wants you back with Him. He doesn't want you hurting and broken.
And remember, before you turn people away that are trying to reach out to you, God uses people. And He can't use people if you don't allow Him to.
Yeah.
So if you won't listen to the people that He sends.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I think it would be practical to say a testimony, because God uses the things that we go through to help others. I'd like to testify of the fact that when we went through a church split a couple years ago, I was heartbroken. I didn't know what was going on. I was so confused. I didn't know what to trust, what to believe. I was given very little information. Like we've said in this video, we've kind of talked about it, but I kept seeking the Lord through the pain, through my own emotions, through my own just stuff that I had going on. I just kept seeking the Lord. And He constantly sent things to me through my friends, through the Word, through just different things that helped me and reassured me. And I mean, it took me, I'd say 6 months or more to get over it. And I mean, I guess as best as you can. But God is good and God is faithful and God knows exactly what we need at exactly the right moment. And so He will get you through this too, because I know He got me through it. And right now, that pain and that hurt, it seems hard. It is hard. And you're walking through those emotions. But in those emotions, you have to give it up to the Lord, because sometimes Satan will use those emotions and we don't particularly know what is what in our pain, in our sorrow, in our hurt. So
Yeah, well, sometimes it's hard to discern the voices.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you hear a lot of voices in your head all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of different things come into your mind, and you've got to be able to discern whether they're from God, they're just from you,
Mm-hmm.
or they're from Satan.
Yeah, and you know, like, because there was very little information about the situation that happened, it gives the enemy room to work. It gives him an open door to work. And so to leadership, I mean, we're small in the grand scheme of things, but if you're a part of leadership and you're watching this video, if you just, or you know somebody that is, or I want to say, if something like that happens in your church and you just got something going on,
be transparent.
Be transparent, because you're going to hurt your congregation in the long run if you're not. And you know, God had me stay, and God had me praying, and God had me fighting the good fight of faith with other people in that congregation whom I love dearly. But some left, you know, and that's okay. But I don't know what pain and hurt they took with them, because I'm sure they did, and them having to work it out as well. But, you know, I had a faithful group of sisters in Christ that we all worked it out together, and we're a lot healthier for it.
Steps towards healing. Name the wound. Honesty over denial. So, I mean, whatever it is, whatever's caused it, name it, know it, and seek God with it.
That's right.
Separate God's character from people's behavior. And I mean, that's a big one, because you have to know God's character. You have to be studying your word to know God's character, to see it over your feelings.
Yes.
Over how you're feeling and how you want to bite back. Because a lot of times when we're wounded, we want to bite back, you know, like that wounded dog, right? We want to bite the hand that's trying to heal us. So, again, you know, so know God's character.
Well, and you've got to know that you know who the Lord is. Otherwise, when Satan comes in to tell you in your mind X, Y, Z, you know, you'll know, oh no, that's not who God is. Mm-hmm. That's not who my Savior is.
Yeah, so if you're healing, man, I'm a failure in your head. You know that's not from God.
Yeah, he's not saying that.
That's when you say, be gone from me. Mm-hmm. I will not listen to you. Mm-hmm. I will not listen to what you're saying to me. I cast that down. I'm not listening to that.
Yep.
You know, and that's what he says to do. When those thoughts come into your mind, take them captive. Mm-hmm. And taking them captive means be gone. Mm-hmm. You know, it means actually voicing it. Be gone. I'm not listening to you.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. I refuse to allow that thought to take root and hold of my mind and permeate into my heart and into my body.
Yep. You got to take them captive.
Yeah.
Out loud. Most of the time, it's out loud. You need to do it out loud. That way, it really, really sinks in and takes heart. Mm-hmm. So. And
then it's good also to always say scripture that is going to encourage you and tell you who God is, because God has many promises in the Bible, and that he will never leave us, he will never forsake us, is one that I repeat to myself all the time. And so, like, you know, pull out those scriptures that give you a clear definition of who God says that he is, and use them. Use them in prayer, use them in battle.
Speak life into yourself.
That's right. Because faith comes by hearing the word, and you've got to speak it to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And what does it do? It builds you up. Builds you up.
Yep, you speak life into yourself.
Yep.
All those words that you say, I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, why am I here?
Liar.
Those are lies from Satan.
Liar.
And they are words of death. You are speaking death over yourself.
That's right.
Don't speak death words
Just
over
curses.
yourself. No, you don't need to do that. You need to be speaking life. I can do this. I'm not a failure. My God made me who I am, and he made me strong. And you just need to keep saying that to yourself. Every time that someone says these mean and awful words to you, or you say them to yourself, you need to be fighting back. No, I am who God says I am.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls me redeemed. He calls me loved. He calls me daughter. I am the daughter of a king.
That's right.
So.
I love it. Preach it.
So release false guilt. I failed by leaving God.
Or I fail God by leaving.
Or yeah, I failed God by leaving.
Yeah. So sometimes you make sometimes you make rash decisions, or sometimes you make whatever the process was that got you to the point, whether it's lengthy, whether it's rash, whether it's whatever the process was to get you to the point to where you left that church. Ultimately, you didn't fail. Mm-hmm. You hear me? You didn't fail. Sometimes we have to take a break and reassess the situation. And that's not failure. That's processing. And we all have different processing systems. And sometimes when you come out on the other side of that processing, you're like, okay, I can't go back there, because it's not healthy for me to be there. And then it's okay. Now I need to find a different church. And that's the thing I'm going to start working towards praying about. So,
or it's, I will set boundaries and I will try again. Sometimes it's that.
Yep.
But you're never a failure if you choose to take a little time. Just don't stay in that time.
That's right. Do not let the enemy keep you away from a church body for too long. And honestly, we seriously encourage you in that time of processing it out to have a believer that is firm in the faith, that can reason it out with you, and pray for you, and help you and guide you and give you practical advice so that the enemy doesn't take a foothold in it. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
So seek healthy voices is the next one, not echo chamber.
And there you go.
Yeah, not an echo chamber. So, which is what we just talked about.
Well, and we had talked about earlier in the video about worldly advice versus believers' advice, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that's a big one. Don't seek worldly advice.
Yeah.
That's an echo chamber.
That is an echo chamber. You need somebody that's going to challenge you and say hard things, that is going to be like, okay, now I need to go talk to God and repent of some things.
So this says, unhealed hurt can turn into contempt. Hope for the church. So God is not done with his church.
Yeah, so we've talked today about a lot of hard things. And, we talked about corporate church. And so we want to say, Can church be hard? Yes. Can people be hard? Yes. But God has built us to be in community. He built us to be in community with Him, and He built us to be in community with the body. Mm-hmm. And so...
Because my gifts are not my sister's gifts.
That's right.
She may be a foot, but I'm a hand. You know? It's that we're all different parts of a body. And made up, we're one body that can work together and do miraculous things. And
God gives us different tasks, right? To where just like He may have tasked me to go preach at a women's conference. And then He may have tasked Rochelle to go feed the hungry. You know what I mean? Not saying that I can't do that or she can't do what I'm doing, but He gives us different tasks because we have different gifts associated with those tasks that He gives us. And testimony-wise, my testimony isn't my sister's testimony. You know, she's went through things that I haven't went through. And so, and my testimony is going to reach a certain group of people. Her testimony is going to reach a certain group of people. So you need to be in the body of Christ, friends, whether that's in a brick and mortar building, in a corporate church, whether that is in a home church, whether that is in a ministry somewhere, whatever it may be, you need to be in the body of Christ. It has to happen. You cannot stay segregated. You cannot stay out there by yourself.
I'm not saying that you cannot worship at home, but we are saying that the fulfillment and what God meant for us was so much more.
Well, and it is scriptural that, you know, you need to be in a body.
Yeah, but that's, you know, because we've heard that all of our life, you know, well, I can have church right here at home with just me and my wife or me, you know.
And you
can.
Yes, but you need to get outside your echo chamber and you need to be in the community and you need to be doing
You need a body that will build you up. So you need that. You need a body that you can talk to, but you're not, that you can seek answers and help from.
We're saying get to a body. Find your people, get there. And
let God use you.
Yes, let God use you. For sure.
Healing churches do exist. Community is still part of spiritual formation. Restoration is possible, but not rushed.
Yes, because it is, we've talked about this in the front of the video. It's a process. It ain't an easy process because you've got to reflect on things.
It takes time.
It takes time, and you got to seek the Lord about things, and
you can take that time, you know, really take that time, think it out, talk to the Lord, seek the Lord, sit at His feet, but don't stay in that.
Yeah.
Don't stay in that mess.
Yep. Great point.
It
says, key truth, God cannot heal what we refuse to acknowledge. So, you want rid of that thing, you gotta acknowledge it to get it out. God, I don't want unforgiveness. Get it out. God, I don't want this anger, this hurt that has been caused. Get it out. Practical application. Name what happened without spiritualizing it away. Journal, pray honestly, or speak with a mature believer. Stop minimizing pain to protect others' comforts. A key truth was God cannot heal what we refuse to acknowledge.
100%. If you keep in denial about it and you never bring it forth, that's when things fester. That's where that root festers and takes hold of you. So you have to bring it forth in order to deal with it. Like any trauma, you have to bring it forth.
Yep.
It cannot stay buried. It cannot stay swept under that rug.
Nope.
We know that road can be a mountain sometimes.
For sure.
But you're going to have to take them out one by one until that rug's laying flat again.
That's right.
So.
Okay, so, says, to bring the herd into light, a spiritual foundation verse is Proverbs 11:14, if you want to write this down. Proverbs 11:14. In the multitude of counselors there is safety. James 5:16, confession brings healing. Okay, and the practical application, share with safe, discerning counsel, not public venting. So many times we do that. It's not beneficial.
We go to Facebook.
Yes.
Publicly vent it all out for everyone to see, and it is not a good thing.
No, girl, we know you want to, but God done had you erase it 3 times. It's time to stop.
Yep.
You know, I've been there. And even though we want to express that hurt, because it is hurt and it does hurt us, and it makes us mad and angry sometimes, and so
I'm guilty of it.
Me too.
I'm guilty of it, so I can't.
I mean, I've even gone so far to write the whole post.
Yeah, as I
Post
said,
it.
You can call a spade, and I've been a spade.
And then God made me go back and delete it after it had been on for an hour.
Yep.
Like, well, Lord, people's done read it. What am I gonna do? You know.
Yep.
But I mean, sometimes we are disobedient and we have to pray for our disobedience, but don't do the public thing. It never is good for anybody or beneficial to you, especially.
Okay, choose people who value truth, not just loyalty. So sometimes the person closest to you, who you know is just loyal and devout to you, is maybe not always the best person to seek, because they're automatically going to get their hackles raised for you in that situation.
Yeah.
So sometimes outside counsel is necessary.
Yep.
And avoid isolation. Wounds fester in silence. Which is exactly what we just said.
And this key distinction is very on point for what we were saying about the church split situation. But it is key point for any situation, as we know. So it says the key distinction is processing is not slander. Silence does not equal holiness. Sometimes we have to speak about it and get it out. There has to be a practical discussion so that we can understand what just happened, and to discuss the thing isn't gossip. And I hear it and receive it. Rochelle knows what I'm talking about. It is very practical to go to a fellow believer in Jesus and name the wound. Talk about it. You're not gossiping by talking about something you need advice on.
No.
Gossiping is when you go to somebody in the intent to slander their character so that they will go and slander their character. That's gossip. When you intend to harm somebody by telling somebody a situation. Healing is when you go to somebody and tell them the situation
For practical advice.
for advice, for love, for just understanding and what to do, right? So, I mean, it's good to go to somebody and name the hurt so that you can receive practical advice on how to heal. And sometimes just talking about it is healing.
Forgiveness is a process, not a shortcut. Matthew 18:21 through 35 talks about forgiveness is commanded.
Mm-hmm.
And Romans 12:19 is vengeance belongs to God and God alone. Practical applications for that is forgiveness releases you.
That's right. Forgiveness is for you ultimately.
Not the offender.
That's right.
Forgiveness equals reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
Forgiveness equals removing consequences. And forgiveness restores access.
Yeah, restores your access to the Lord, because forgiveness ultimately
will break down your walls.
Well, forgiveness ultimately will build a stronghold, or unforgiveness ultimately will build a stronghold. And so forgiveness breaks down those walls
and those strongholds
and restores that relationship back to the Lord.
Closes those doors.
Mm-hmm.
Closes those doors.
Hard truth.
So the hard truth to this is you can forgive and still walk away. And we know that. We've done that in the past. Sometimes you have to lift that burden from your heart, and you have to forgive and feel at peace with walking away.
Yeah, forgiveness doesn't always mean that you're going to reconcile with that person that caused you that hurt or that pain, right?
And you know, a lot of people have something that we have always kind of went back to is God removes certain people from your life because
for a reason.
Yeah, for a reason. That's 100% true. God removes certain people from your life for a reason. And maybe it's because you're going to be drugged down further by them, or maybe you just can't get over the past with them. Or
they're a narcissist and you just can't have them in your life.
Yes. So sometimes they are removed for a reason, and as long as you forgive them, you can still walk away healed.
That's right.
So, the answer to church hurt isn't abandoning faith. It's rebuilding trust with wisdom.
Yes.
So again, rebuild the trust, forgiveness, really work on your inner self, and really pray, really seek God's counsel. Call to reflection. What hurt? So this is what we want to ask you, to kind of ask yourselves. What hurt am I carrying?
Write these down right now.
Bossy. Have I allowed healing or only distance? So again, are you healing while you're going through it, or are you only creating the wedge?
Yeah, and one thing you'll know, because if you're thinking about something right now, if God is highlighting something in your mind, right? Because he often does that when you're talking about a subject. And so if you get angry when that person is brought up, or if you still cry when that person is brought up,
you're not healed.
You're not healed. And there are some things that you need to bring to the Lord so that he can heal you, because he wants to and he is able to.
Where is God inviting me next? So ask yourself that. Where do I go from here? You need to be seeking God's counsel on where to go next. And that's it.
Yep. And so we're going to give you a practical prayer that you can save, that you can write down. If you're just like, I don't know where to start. I hear what you're saying, but I don't know. Right? So here is a prayer that I think that will help. It just to get you started, and you're going to finish the ending because you know what's going on with you. Right? So, Lord, that person broke my heart. And I need to make sure that I have forgiven them, right? And I need you to heal me of all these things that this hurt has created, right? So anxiety, depression, anger, whatever it may be. I need you to heal me from those things and heal me ultimately from that root of bitterness, right? I remember what happened when they did this to me. And I still haven't recovered yet. But I want to, Lord. I need to, Lord. And I'm ready to. And then you finish the prayer, okay? Come to the Lord with an open and sincere heart, and so that he can start healing you today.
Mm-hmm.
It is so beneficial to be in a place of healing, so that you can love and trust again.
Well, so you have restoration in your life.
Yes, you have restoration in your life. That's right.
You have restoration with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and we want that for you. And we want that for us.
No hindrance.
No hindrance, right? Like I said at the beginning of this video, God's been working on me with some unforgiveness in my life. It doesn't have to do with church hurt, but it is unforgiveness. And so,
and I've told you all through this, I'm the spade, okay?
She's got her own stuff she's dealing with. And so, being a seasoned Christian doesn't mean that you're not going to go through these things, but it's holding on to your faith in the Lord and who he says that he is to get you out on the other side. And like we said, it's okay to take a beat. It's okay to take a minute to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not okay to stay there. Keep your faith. Keep going back to the Lord. Seek strong Christian counsel, right? And work it out. And we love you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need to talk to somebody, we're here.
Come on back to the porch.
That's right. Come on back to the porch.
We love to talk to you.
We leave our email in the description. And of course, you can always message us on Facebook if you have any questions, or if you just need some counsel or prayer or whatever it may be. We are here for you.
Don't forget to give us a like.
Might as well. All right. Well, see you next time. Bye. Hey, y'all. You know what we need? Now's your moment.
A like.
We need a like.
Like and subscribe.
And we need some more followers.
Oh, yes, indeedy.
So, if you can, give us a
big old like and subscribe.
All right, see you guys later on the ship shape we don't know what we're saying situation.
Goodbye.